After a spellbinding store opening ceremony in Mumbai on Tuesday, Apple today opened its second store in the country in New Delhi in Saket, with CEO Tim Cook welcoming customers. Now, Cook, who called on Prime Minister Modi, expressed his delight at the incredible reception. India has emerged as an important market for iPhone manufacturer, and the tech giant is doubling down on its growth plans for the world's second largest smartphone market. My colleague Shruti Sharma, who was at Saket to witness the first-hand experience of exclusive Apple Store launch, is joining us at the moment. Tell us about what it's looking like around you, Shruti.
Has opened its second store in Delhi today. Apple CEO Tim Cook was here to welcome the customers, and you can see the excitement. How excited are people? This is Apple Saket, Apple Store, where you can see a lot of excitement in the people. You can see the products displayed very amazingly here, and each and every product is been taken care of in terms of how it's kept, how it's displayed. You have new latest iPhones, you have iPads, iPad Pro. There's accessories that you get here in terms of iWatch bands, phone covers, and lots more. There have been people waiting here since 6 o'clock in the morning just to get a glimpse of the Apple CEO Tim Cook, and we were also here to witness the same. Yes, you could see the excitement, people maddening outside. We'll just show you how is the craze outside the store. You can see people lined up all around just to have a glimpse of the new Apple Store open in Delhi. What's more? Well, let's quickly show you the store and tell you more about it. So as you can see, there are a lot of products on display, and Apple Saket features a uniquely designed curved storefront with the white oak tables. They look very, very chic. Also, the store showcases company's many products and accessories. Apple Saket runs on 100% renewable energy and is carbon neutral. Much like Apple BKC, the iPhone maker has made attempts to Indianize its second outlet as well. Apple Saket features a Genius Bar. Customers can book an appointment here for hands-on technical and hardware support. This is how the store looks like, and if sources are to be believed, Apple is paying approximately 40 lakh per month for this Saket store as a rent.
All right, the grand opening there of the Apple Saket store. With me in the studio, my colleague Kartik Malhotra continues to be here. Also joining us, Krishnakumar. We discussed this just about 2 days ago with the grand opening of the BKC store.
Yes.
Apple's BKC store. Tim Cook there, standing at the gates once again, greeting people here in Delhi in Saket. What's it looking like for Apple in Delhi at this point?
A lot, I must say, because a lot has transpired since that BKC store launch in Mumbai. Because he is in Delhi, Tim Cook is in Delhi, he's met with the Prime Minister of India, has promised to double down on both investments in India for manufacturing capabilities and exports out of India, both at currently about 5% of iPhone sales across the world comes from India. India-made iPhones. You're looking at a doubling down on that. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Deputy Information Technology Minister, has said that you're looking at doubling and tripling of investments and exports by Apple in India and from India in the years to go forward. So, and here's the deal: we talk a lot about Apple and what does the store launch mean. Apple launched its first store in China back in the year 2008, and at that point in time, about 750 million odd was the sales in China. In about 2 to 3 years, that went up to about 12 billion. It was an 11% rise. So you're looking at a major play, especially, so last time this happened in China, that's what it resulted in. Already the growth for Apple iPhones in India is incredible, despite the fact that it's one of the lowest per capita income, per capita GDP countries for Apple to open a store. There are countries with a better per capita income, per capita GDP, like Malaysia, South Africa, Vietnam, where there are no Apple stores. But in India, where it's about $7,000 odd per capita income, and per capita GDP, and Apple chooses to open a store over here. So it talks about the opportunity that India presents, because bear in mind, when Apple opened a store in China back in 2008, China's per capita income, per capita GDP was around $7,000. So, it's not all that odd that, India presents a market like that because of the demographic. You talk about 50% of young people, most of them are aspirational. They are the ones who are contributing to 6.5 million shipments of, of sales of, iPhones in India. So, it is it's a long-term play. We're seeing step one. It's like the moon landing. It's like step one of Apple landing up in India with 2 stores, not 1 but 2, because that's the size of India. And get this, 50% of Apple store employees are going to be women. And they're going to be people from 18 different states of India in one Apple store speaking 15 different Indian languages. That's the kind of attention to detail that Apple comes to India with.
Contributing to the diversity, and they are absolutely utilizing the diversity of this country. Now, we don't know whether, Apple obviously looking at emulating the same growth chart that it had in China when it opened its first store. It is looking good for Apple. They met with all the top senior leaders in this country, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Prime Minister, and they're promising more manufacturing, more growth, and a sense of more diversity, utilizing that diversity in its manufacturing here in India, Kartik.
So I think primarily these are great optics. It's a great statement that Apple is making, not just in closed doors in meetings with corporate leaders or with politicians or leadership in the country, but out there in the public. I think it's a great public statement they are making on their seriousness, their commitment to stay invested in India. And that is good news. But is that actually a reason to celebrate at a retail level with the kind of crowds that we saw, the visuals that we saw? The phones aren't getting any cheaper. Nobody is there to dole out these instruments to you for free, right? They're still going to cost you pretty much the same, as if not more, because now there's a 40 lakh rupee rental added as well, which has to be offset. So the phones are still going to cost you the same. Does it really, the presence of an Apple store, does it really make a difference in your life, my life, Krishna's life? Honestly, it doesn't. We would still possibly look for the best deal either on EMI or online or wherever we get it, $1,000 cheaper, $2,000 cheaper, we're going to migrate there. Yeah, I mean, you go to Disneyland as well. You go to Disneyland and you go to Lego parks and you go to, these great experiential places which don't sort of, necessarily mitigate the cost that you will pay for, for watching a Disney movie or for buying a Lego set. But
that's the best backhanded compliment I've heard for Apple, because let's think about it. The Apple store is the Disneyland of Apple products.
Exactly. So you go there, you have a good time, you look at
dream of it.
Yeah, you look at the products that have been aspirational for you, you sort of play with them, you touch them, you see them, you click a nice selfie and possibly, just explore whatever sizes the phones are available and whatever, battery sizes or capacities, storage that they're available. But beyond that, it doesn't do much. What I'm really happy about is the fact that, there has been a promise made by Tim Cook to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to the cabinet ministers that it is doubling down on employment that would be generated through Apple's contract manufacturers in India, from 1 lakh to 2 lakh. Not a huge number. We are sitting at a population of 1.4 billion people. We've become the most populous country. And we are also a country where, if I remember the numbers correctly, 26% of the population is under the age of 24.
Yes.
And the chunk of, let's say, between 15 to 24 is, in absolute terms, a huge value. Yeah. Does it really, do 1 lakh additional jobs also really cut it? Actually, they don't.
Okay.
Right. At a macro level, they don't really add too much of a dent. But the fact is, you are creating employment, you are setting up factories, you are making capital investments, and you are contributing at some level to the growth of India's GDP, both by getting Indians to buy your products as well as making India an export hub where the products made in India will go outside the shores of India and be sold to markets globally. And that sort of helps us compete against a country like China, where Apple had a bulk of its manufacturing, still has a bulk of its manufacturing. But over time up to, let's say 2026, 2027, 4 years, 5 years from now, if we are able to, let's say, take up, as estimates suggest, about 25% of Apple's manufacturing, this company is not going anywhere. Absolutely. It's among the most valuable companies in the world.
And
if we can contribute to about 25% of the company's total operations in terms of manufacturing, it's a great fillip for us as a country.
We are looking at replacing China, for that matter, as the manufacturing hub.
And not from a jingoism sort of standpoint. I'm saying pure economics.
If I may just add one point to what he's talking about, 50% of India's mobile phone exports were constituted by Apple manufactured exports. That's the kind of numbers that Apple can do, and mainly because the value of the products.
The value of the product.
The product, the same way that you complain about Apple for being high-priced phones, that adds to the export value from India, and that's the kind of value that Apple brings in. And let's face it, India's mobile phone exports have been sputtering, and Apple's is a shot in the arm for India's mobile phone exports. And we are more than happy for high-tech manufacturers to come to India. 4 to 6% off on taxes we are giving. So I think it's a win-win for Apple and India.
Win-win for Apple and India, and of course we can go on talking about Apple in India.